Good morning and happy to have you tuning in to today's episode about Daily Crypto News Podcast. I'm joined by my co-hosts and we're excited to dive into today's top stories.
That's right, we've got a jam-packed show lined up for you with some major market-moving news to kick things off. MicroStrategy is making headlines once again with a massive Bitcoin purchase. The company announced it spent over $516 million on 5,200 BTC.
This news comes on the heels of MicroStrategy stock making its debut in the Nasdaq 100 index. It's interesting to see the company leveraging its stock sale proceeds to expand its Bitcoin holdings. According to a recent SEC filing, MicroStrategy sold 1.3 million shares over the past week to fund this purchase.
That's a significant move, especially considering the company's stock price took a hit following the announcement. It seems investors are a bit wary of MicroStrategy's aggressive Bitcoin accumulation strategy. The company now holds a staggering 4,4,4,2,6,2 BTC, valued at approximately $42 billion.
You have to wonder if this is a case of buy the rumor, sell the news. MicroStrategy's stock has been on a tear lately, and some investors might be taking profits off the table. However, it's also possible that the market is simply reacting to the sheer size of this purchase.
It's worth noting that MicroStrategy's CEO Michael Saylor has been a vocal advocate for Bitcoin as a store of value. The company has made it clear that it intends to hold its Bitcoin holdings for the long term. This purchase is just the latest example of MicroStrategy's commitment to its Bitcoin development strategy.
This news has significant implications for the broader crypto market. We've seen a trend of institutional investors warming up to Bitcoin, and MicroStrategy's purchase is a clear indication that this trend is continuing.
Throughout today's episode, we'll be exploring this theme in more depth. We'll discuss the potential impact of institutional investment on the crypto market and examine some of the other major players making waves in the space.
But we'll also be touching on some of the other top stories in the world of crypto, from regulatory developments to innovative new projects. It's shaping up to be an exciting show, so be sure to stick around.
And if you want to stay up to date on all the latest crypto news, be sure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our podcast. We'll be back with more on MicroStrategy's big Bitcoin buy and what it means for the market.
Building on what we discussed in our last segment about the intersection of crypto and entertainment, it seems that celebrities are becoming increasingly influential in the space. And speaking of influential, Decrypt's Scene has just named Iggy Azalea as their 2024 Person of the Year.
That's right. The four-time Grammy-nominated artist has had quite the journey in crypto this year with the launch of her own meme coin, Mother. It's been fascinating to see how she's approached this project, especially compared to some of her celebrity counterparts.
Absolutely. Unlike many other celebrity-backed crypto projects, Mother doesn't seem to be just a quick cash grab. Iggy Azalea has been actively involved in the project, engaging with her community and pushing the boundaries of what it means to be a celebrity in crypto.
And that's exactly why Decrypt's Scene has recognized her as their Person of the Year. She's paving the way for other celebrities to enter the space in a more meaningful way, rather than just slapping their name on a project and calling it a day.
And of course, it's not been without its challenges. Iggy Azalea's crypto journey has been marred by some of the darker aspects of the space, including scams and online harassment. It's a sobering reminder that, despite the progress being made, there's still a long way to go in terms of making crypto a more welcoming and inclusive space.
That's true, but it's also a testament to Iggy Azalea's dedication to her project and her community that she's persevered despite these challenges. And it's clear that her efforts are paying off, not just in terms of the success of Mother, but also in terms of the impact she's having on the broader crypto space.
It's also worth noting that Iggy Azalea's approach to crypto is reflective of a broader trend we're seeing, where creators and artists are becoming more empowered to take control of their own financial destinies. With the rise of Web3 and decentralized platforms, it's easier than ever for artists to connect directly with their fans and monetize their work in new and innovative ways.
Exactly, and Iggy Azalea's success with Mother is just one example of this trend in action. As we move into 2024, it will be interesting to see how this trend continues to evolve and how other celebrities and creators choose to enter the crypto space.
Building on what we discussed earlier about the increasing market volatility, it seems we're in for a wild ride with the record $14 billion Bitcoin options expiry looming on the horizon.
Yeah, and this isn't just a small-time event. This expiry represents a whopping 44% of the total expiry-wide open interest on Deribit. I've never seen anything like this before in the exchange's history.
That's staggering. And what's even more interesting is that options worth $4 billion are set to expire in the money. This could lead to a significant shift in market dynamics, especially considering the high leverage we're seeing right now.
Exactly. Deribit is warning that the market looks highly levered up to the upside, which means we could be in for a correction. And if we look at the vol indicator, it's clear that there's directional uncertainty ahead of the expiry.
That uncertainty is likely to cause a stir in the market. I'm curious to know, though, how does this compare to Ethereum's outlook? We've been discussing the differences between Bitcoin and Ethereum's price movements lately.
Well, according to Deribit, the outlook is actually more bearish for Ethereum. This could be due to various factors, including the recent surge in DeFi activity and the subsequent increase in gas fees.
That makes sense. Ethereum's been facing some scalability issues, which might be contributing to this bearish sentiment. But going back to the Bitcoin options expiry, what do you think will happen once these options expire? Will we see a massive sell-off or a buying frenzy?
It's difficult to predict, but one thing's for sure, it'll be a highly volatile event. We could see a mix of both buying and selling, depending on how the market reacts to the expiry. Traders will be closely watching the price movements, and we might see some big players making their moves.
I agree, and it's not just the immediate aftermath we should be concerned about. This event could have a ripple effect on the market, influencing price movements in the coming weeks.
Absolutely. We'll be keeping a close eye on the situation and providing updates as more information becomes available. In the meantime, it's essential for traders to stay cautious and adapt to the changing market conditions.
As we were discussing earlier, institutional investment is starting to pick up steam again in the crypto space. We've seen some significant purchases from various companies and funds in recent weeks.
That's right, and it seems like Metaplanet is leading the charge. They just announced their biggest single buy to date, snapping up an additional 619.70 BTC.
That's a significant purchase, especially considering the current market conditions. It's clear that Metaplanet is bullish on Bitcoin's long-term prospects.
Absolutely, and it's not just the amount that's impressive, but also the timing. This purchase comes at a time when the market is still recovering from the recent downturn.
Building on what we discussed earlier about institutional investment, this move by Metaplanet could be seen as a vote of confidence in the crypto market. It's a sign that these companies are willing to take a long-term view and invest in assets that they believe have strong potential for growth.
Speaking of growth, it's worth noting that Metaplanet's purchase has already had an impact on the market. Bitcoin's price has been steadily climbing over the past 24 hours, and it's likely that this purchase has contributed to that upward trend.
Of course, it's impossible to say for certain whether Metaplanet's purchase is the sole cause of the price increase, but it's definitely a factor, and it's likely that other investors are taking notice of Metaplanet's confidence in the market.
And that's a great point. And it's not just Bitcoin that's benefiting from this increased confidence. We're seeing a ripple effect across the entire crypto market, with many altcoins also experiencing significant price increases.
It's a classic case of the rising tide lifting all boats. When institutional investors like Metaplanet make significant purchases, it can have a cascading effect on the entire market.
Exactly, and it's not just the short-term price movements that are interesting. This increased investment from institutions could have long-term implications for the crypto market as a whole.
And that's right, as more institutions enter the market, we're likely to see increased liquidity, more robust infrastructure, and a greater sense of legitimacy for crypto assets.
All of which could contribute to a more sustainable and stable market in the long term. It's an exciting time for crypto, and we'll be keeping a close eye on developments as they unfold.
Absolutely, and we'll be back with more news and analysis after this break.
As we touched on earlier in the show, the concept of immersive experiences is rapidly changing the way we perceive entertainment in the crypto space. Building on what we discussed about the growing demand for interactive storytelling, it appears Wilder World is on the cusp of revolutionizing the gaming industry with its cutting-edge metaverse experience.
That's right. They've just dropped a gameplay trailer that's generating a lot of buzz. From what we've seen, the visuals are stunning. We're talking high-speed racing, cinematic FPS combat, and a host of social interactions that seem to blur the lines between the physical and virtual worlds.
One of the aspects that really stood out to me was the level of detail they've managed to achieve. I mean, we're not just talking about your run-of-the-mill graphics here. This is a genuinely immersive experience that could potentially redefine what we expect from metaverse gaming.
And it's clear the market is responding positively. Wilder World is currently the 9th most wishlisted game on the Epic Games Store, which is no small feat considering the competition out there. It's clear they're onto something, and if they can deliver on the promises they're making, this could be a game changer.
But I think what's most interesting here is the way they're merging different elements, high-speed racing, FPS combat, social interactions, to create a holistic experience that's greater than the sum of its parts. It's almost as if they're trying to create a virtual world that's just as engaging as our real one.
Speaking of engagement, it's worth noting that Decrypt's art, fashion, and entertainment hub scene is also playing a significant role in promoting Wilder World's vision. By providing a platform for creatives to showcase their work, they're helping to foster a sense of community that's essential for any metaverse experience to succeed.
That's a great point. The more we see platforms like Scene and Wilder World pushing the boundaries of what's possible, the more we'll see mainstream adoption of these technologies. And as the metaverse continues to evolve, it'll be fascinating to see how these early movers shape the landscape.
Absolutely. As we head into 2025, it's clear that the metaverse is going to be a major player in the crypto space. And with Wilder World's gameplay trailer giving us a glimpse of what's to come, it's safe to say we're in for an exciting ride.
We're wrapping up today's show, and I have to say, the news about Hyperliquid token's 21% plunge has left me with more questions than answers. We touched on the rumors of a potential North Korea hack earlier in the show, but I'd love to dive deeper into the implications of this story.
Absolutely, and I think it's essential to revisit the tweets from Tay and Holistic that we mentioned earlier. The fact that a single line of code could potentially compromise all four validators is a massive red flag. It's no wonder investors are getting nervous.
And it's not just the technical vulnerabilities that are concerning. The fact that billions of dollars are sitting on a bridge with a limited validator set, all with similar security protocols and key people, is a recipe for disaster. It's like putting all your eggs in one basket.
And that's exactly what Holistic was pointing out. The move fast, growth at all costs dev culture can be a major liability when it comes to security. And let's not forget that North Korea has a history of targeting these types of vulnerabilities. The Ronin bridge hack is a prime example.
I remember we discussed the Ronin hack a while back, and it's eerie to see similar patterns emerging. It's like the industry hasn't learned from past mistakes. What's your take on this? Are we doomed to repeat history?
I think it's a wake-up call for the industry to prioritize security and take a more holistic approach to development. It's not just about moving fast and breaking things. It's about building robust systems that can withstand potential threats. And investors need to be aware of these risks when putting their money into these projects.
That's a great point. As we wrap up today's show, what are your key takeaways from the stories we covered?
For me, it's all about risk management. Investors need to be cautious and do their due diligence when investing in these projects. And for developers, it's about prioritizing security and taking a more measured approach to growth.
I couldn't agree more. And looking at the market outlook, it's clear that investors are getting nervous. We're seeing a lot of volatility, and it's essential to stay informed and adapt to changing market conditions.
Absolutely. As we head into the new year, it's going to be interesting to see how the market responds to these emerging trends and security concerns. One thing's for sure, it's going to be a wild ride.
Well, that's all for today's show. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you all in the next episode.